Well, hi folks, Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and honestly, I was planning to do a review of this anyway, but now I'm just going to do it to stop the massive influx of messages saying, hey, there's this thing called Arcadia, issue 1 came out, are you going to review it? You should review it. I want to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think? Yada, yada, yada. I have been inundated with messages about this. Yes, I am aware of it. It comes from MCDM. I actually got a copy of it early, and I had hoped to have the review out on the 13th. I actually got a copy of it on the evening of the 12th. So I do want to point that out, that I was given a copy by this because I am friends with some folks on the editing team, and they said, you're not under NDA, this is not a sponsorship, it's yours because you're awesome, and we think this is awesome. We'd love for you to check it out. So I got it early. So that being said, if I go through it, you might see possibly things that are slightly different than maybe what you saw in the final product, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's awesome, right? I mean, I've said this for a long time, and while I do like Dragon Plus, I don't feel like it fills the void that Dragon and Dungeon Magazine had, where they were like an awesome, great resource. I feel like Dragon Plus right now is pretty much just like a monthly news bit, and they talk about stuff that happened. We're not getting a lot of new, fresh material that we can use, and it seems like Arcadia is indeed going to give us that. From new monsters, new subclasses, new things that we want, it looks great. So I have quick little bullet points that I'm going to give you, and then I'll jump into some stuff. So first issue includes new rules for mounts, an adventure, a new sorcerer subclass, 2 celestial villains, an awesome editing team, Matt Colville, James Tricasso, Hannah Rose, and then art from a long list of awesome folks. So that being said, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to touch on, I don't want to go through the entire thing because obviously I don't want to do that to deter you folks from supporting the Patreon and getting access to this yourself, but I want to give you enough of it that I feel like you can make an accurate decision and don't obviously have to, whether you believe the hype one way or another, you can use my non-biased review of it, showcasing some of the stuff inside to let you make your decision. So that being said, I'm going to jump over here and open it up. So here it is. So one thing that I can say is if I click the bookmarks, I've got a bunch of random names. This looks like it's probably image file names. So I'm going to say that maybe this got fixed because mine was in early access and the final copy had the actual table of contents, tabs, and stuff for bookmarks. If you know anything about me and my reviews of PDFs, if you don't have bookmarks in your PDF, what are you even doing? Fix it. It's a simple thing. It makes everybody's life easier. I'm sure that got fixed for the final product, but if not, do that. Okay. So that being said, let's go ahead and look at the table of contents. First of all, you can see all of the folks tied to this. There's a ton of names you'll probably recognize from a variety. There's also playtesters. By the way, Arcadia MCDM folks, if you need a playtester, Ted from Nerd Immersion right here offering up to help you guys out in whatever way I can aside from doing these reviews. So here's what we've got inside, right? This is the January 2021 issue. So we have a letter from James Tricasso, the editor. We have the workshop watches. This is a 5th edition adventure. I'm actually not going to go over that really at all. It's a really good adventure. I like a lot of the stuff in it. But again, if you want to run this, it's fresh and it's new for folks, so I don't want to do that. I do want to talk about the subclass, right? The Titanheart from Gabe Hicks here. So I like this. I read through it a little bit, and I want to go back through it again with you. And I want to touch on a little bit of the jumping on mounted combat. I've said this before, mounted combat is like a thing you either use all the time in your games or not at all. And I think that's truly because the rules for mounted combat are almost non-existent. There's like a paragraph in the player's handbook. There's the mounted combatant feat, and that's about it. We need better rules, and we do get some awesome stuff here. And then we have these 2 things by Sadie Lowry at the end here. I'm not going to go through those, but they are epic level celestial villains. We are talking challenge rating 23 and challenge rating 24 for these awesome creatures. So I've also said we need more celestials. We need more fey creatures. We need all this stuff. And the concept of celestial villains, fallen angels, spooky evil demon, god type creatures, awesome stuff. All right, so we're going to have to skip ahead a little bit because we don't have our bookmarks, as I've stated. So if we jump to 14, here we go. The Titanheart. So this is a Sorcerer subclass. You guys know my thoughts on Sorcerer. I'm not a huge fan of it. Maybe this will change my mind. By the way, fixing Sorcerer Volume 3 or Version 3, 3.0, coming out this week sometime. Okay, so this is, obviously we know Sorcerer's powers are given by their bloodline. This has to deal with you having Titanic blood in such a way. Titans, in the Greek mythology and the standard mythology, typically you have giants and you have Titans better than that. Although Greek mythology is kind of funky on Titans versus giants, but whatever, right? Children and creation of deities, Titans are filled with magic. So again, in Greek, Titans before gods. Anyway, getting distracted. When a Titan's blood mixes with that of a humanoid, they get a chance to get some awesome powers, and that is what our creature has here. So, starting at first level, you're proficient with martial weapons and can speak, read, and write Primordial. Knowing this language allows you to understand the subdialects of Aquan, Oran, Ignan, and Terran. Nice little flavor bit. I often say that it's good. You got to do, in my mind, some sort of fun, flavorful, passive bonus, I think is a thing that's almost... I don't know if I often say this. I don't know if I've ever actually stated this, but I think that it's true. Some sort of fun passive style bonus at level 1 on top of something that you can choose to use that's limited use. So I like the proficiency with a martial weapon. Probably not needed, but I'm okay with it, right? That could be a really fun bit of your character. War pick, rapier, whip, whatever it is. Now you can build that in. Maybe that becomes part of your character going on. Something to use your booming blade or green flame blade with, so on. Then we have Titan Manifestation. Now, I will tell you, when I read through this, I was thinking of Mike Merle's Giant Sorcerer, Giant Blood Sorcerer. It gave me thoughts of that. This is a little bit better designed, and obviously, I'd say this has been handled better in all aspects, so let's take a look. So, you're going to manifest your Titan abilities in your Titan Manifestation. So, you invoke it for a short period of time, and they give you a nice little flavor bit, right? If that Titan is a Kraken, you might grow fish scales. If it's a child of a deity, you might get a heavenly glow or manifest horns. As an action, you assume the form for up to 1 minute. It ends early if you're knocked unconscious or if you choose to end it as a bonus action. While in this form, you gain the following benefits. Your size increases to large. Your AC increases by 2. When you make a melee weapon attack, you can use charisma instead of strength or dexterity for attack and damage rolls, and your weapons grow to match your new size. While these weapons are enlarged, you deal an extra d4 damage with them, and the spells and melee weapon attacks deal double damage to objects and structures. Okay, so right there, it basically makes you large size as though you were under the enlarge reduce spell. As such, you get the extra d4 damage to weapons. That makes sense. That's part of enlarge reduce. The bonus to AC is a nice little bit of a defensive buff. Charisma to use for your melee weapon attacks. That kind of fits with the giving you a martial weapon proficiency, sort of like a mini hexblade ability there. Double damage to objects and structures. That fits with the whole siege bit. And while it's active, you also know and can cast Blaze, Cataclysm, Daybreak, Glacier, and Quake as sorcerer spells. Those are new spells added in this document that we'll get to. Special primordial spells described below. You can use this feature twice and get it back when you finish a long rest. Okay, that's not too bad. That's a pretty powerful thing. Twice per long rest. You're going to use it, but you got to make your choices because it's not unlimited use. Okay, 6, you're going to get Strength of Magic. You can use your Charisma modifier instead of your Strength modifier for strength checks and strength saving throws. Okay, fits into the Titanic thing. We're good at strength stuff, but it's powered by our Charisma. I still have a whole thought. I don't think Charisma should be a sorcerer's casting choice, but it is. Or casting stat, but it is what it is. And then at 6, we have Toughened Grace. While transformed by the manifestation, so altering this level 1 ability, the total bonus from your AC increases to +4, as opposed to, doesn't increase by +4, increases to +4. So it was +2 originally, it's now +4, and you can attack twice instead of once, basically giving you the extra attack ability, although limited only when you have Titan Manifestation activated. Additionally, you can use your Titan Manifestation feature 3 times, so now we get to use it even more, okay? Titan's Will at 14. You can choose to grow to either large or huge. I like that they give you the choice. A lot of the times when you get these abilities, it's you go to huge size, end of story. Now it's large or huge. You get to choose what makes sense for the scenario. If you become huge, the bonus damage goes from a D4 to a D10, increasing in size and damage, and your walking speed increases by 20 feet. You are larger size, your walking speed increases. That one seems a little bit weirder to me, going up to 20-foot movement speed, because we didn't get a 10-foot movement speed when we went to large size. So the fact that we get 20 when we go to huge, I would say maybe 10, because I don't think you should get an extra movement speed just for being large size. I will give it to you for huge size, but I think maybe 10. And also the D4 to D10 jump seems a little much. Maybe not, right? It's just swingy. I mean, you could go from 1d4 to 2d4, then your lower damage is higher. You know, your lower end on the damage side is going to be a minimum of 2, and the maximum would be 8. It kind of nitpicking here. It's not a big deal. That's your level 14 ability, but there's more. I didn't realize. While you're huge, you can expend a spell slot and stomp the ground as an action, releasing a wave of destructive energy. Each creature within 20 feet of you must make a con save equal to your spell save DC or take 2d6 thunder damage per level of slot spent, and they get pushed 10 feet. On a failed save, half on a success, half damage on a success, and they don't get pushed. Additionally, you regain 2 sorcery points when you use your Titan Manifestation feature. While it's active, you can spend 1 sorcery point to treat a spell you cast as if you used a spell slot 1 level higher than the one you spent. That's too much. This is too much for one ability, all right? So it's not only does your ability that you already have, which is giving you now a plus 4 to your AC and 2 attacks, it's now giving you large or huge size. Huge size increases your movement speed by 20, goes from a D4 to a D10. And mind you, it's not like it uses multiple uses to go up to huge size. You now have 3 uses of this. You can do it 3 times per long rest. And let's go through that again. Charisma is your attacking stat. You can attack twice. You can have a plus 4 bonus to your AC. And you could deal an extra D10 damage with each hit, which you have 2 now, and a 20-foot movement speed. Also, you could do this extra attack thing. Also, you get extra sorcery points. Also, you can increase the damage. Too much. Too much for a level 14 ability, in my mind. I know we've gotten a lot of, quote, power creep with the Xanathar's classes, but this is too much. I'll give you this, the 14th level ability. I think the larger huge size, I think the bonus damage, I think the walking speed increase. I'm fine with that. Maybe go 2d4 as opposed to a d10. Maybe go 10 feet instead of 20. Nitpick stuff. And I like the idea of the stomp, right? You're a giant. This is what people want from their giants. You want to be able to stomp and deal radial damage. I think that that's great. While you're huge, expend a spell slot, do the thing, stomp. It does 2d6 thunder damage per level of spell and pushes people back. I might even say you don't even need to spend a spell slot. It won't increase in damage, but you could, as an action, do this stomp all the time and it doesn't cost a spell slot. I'd be okay with that too, right? If that was just like it does a stomp, 20-foot radius, constitution saving throw, 2d6 thunder damage, and they're pushed 10 feet away, and it's just a freebie thing. I like that you can expend spell slots to increase the damage by, it's 2d6 per level of spell, so you could really do a huge stomp and do a ton of damage. Either way, I like that ability a lot. I don't know, in my brain, I think it's too much, and I also don't know why tapping into your heritage gives you sorcery points. That one doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And the fact that while it's active now, so again, and while your Titan Manifestation is active, you can spend 1 sorcery point to cast it at a level higher than the one you spent to cast it. So if you're casting a 4th level spell, you can spend 1 sorcery point to cast a 4th level spell as a 5th level spell. So if I'm reading that correctly, I spend a sorcery point and I spend a 4th level spell slot, but this treats it as a 5th level spell for 1 sorcery point. I don't know. It just seems like that's a lot. I think if you lose that last paragraph, I think you're pretty balanced there. And let's look at level 18, the Ancient Colossus. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws while your Titan Manifestation is active. Makes sense to me. In addition, when you cast a primordial spell, those are the new ones that were added, through your Titan Manifestation, the spell is cast at a minimum of 3rd level, even if you only use a 1st or 2nd level spell slot to cast it. If you spend a sorcery point to cast the spell of increase the level of a primordial spell that was cast at first or second level, treat it as if you used a 4th level slot. You can also unleash the full strength of the magic you draw from the Titans. When you cast a spell that deals damage to one or more targets while your Titan manifestation feature is active, you can choose to deal maximum damage instead of rolling. You must declare that you are using this benefit before you cast the spell. Your Titan manifestation ends immediately. Okay, that was what I was hoping for, because I was like, if they're giving them this for free, too much. Okay, so I like that. That last little ability, the middle one's kind of funky to read. The top bit about advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws, fine. We're using charisma for them. I like that. That's good. So let's read through this middle ability again, because it was kind of wordy and I didn't really like it. When you cast a primordial spell, one of the ones that were given from the class, using your Titan manifestation feature, well, we can only get them from our Titan manifestation feature, so that's a little redundant in the word there, but that's fine. The spell is cast at a minimum of 3rd level, so we're sort of like a mini warlock. We can only cast those spells at 3rd level. Even if we still have to spend a slot, which is nice. So we spend a 1st or 2nd level slot, it's auto cast at 3rd level. If we spend a sorcery point to increase the level that was casting using a slot of 1st level, treat the spell as if you cast it at 4th. So I guess that's if we're using this level 14 ability to increase the sorcery point by 1, because it's auto cast at 3rd. It is then upcast to 4. It's just wordy, and I feel like it's kind of confusing. So I might just, again, ditch this paragraph here. Keep the advantage on strength and strength saving throws while your Titan manifestation is active. I might even just give you that all the time, right? Because, I mean, it's level 18. This is your capstone ability. We already can use charisma. Maybe you just give them advantage on strength and strength saving throws all the time. And then the big ability here is you can max damage any spell you cast while it's active, and then that shuts it down. Remember, you could do this now 3 times per long rest, so this could be your big boom when you're in a big fight, and then you have to shut it down and bring it back later. And then we get the new spells here, which they are elemental based, which is great. So Blaze is a 1st level spell, concentration for a minute. Let's see. Your body ignites in flames. Get your Human Torch on here. When a creature gets within 5 feet of you for the first time on a turn, or it starts its turn within 5 feet of you, it takes a d8 fire damage, and it goes up by a d8 with each casting level above. I like that. It's they come in to fight you, maybe if they might make people switch to range, but if they get within range, they take damage. All right. Cataclysm. This is a bonus action spell. The last one was an action. Concentration up to a minute. The next time you hit a creature with a weapon attack before this spell ends, you can deal an extra d8 psychic damage, and the target makes a wisdom save as crackling energy surrounds them. On a fail save, the target has disadvantage on the next attack they make before the end of your next turn. So this stays up, and it's just to deal extra damage, and you put this wisdom attack. Oh, no, wait. The next time you hit a creature with a weapon attack before this spell ends, it does it. So it's not a persistent every turn. It's the next time you hit with it. Okay, similar to like Smite style spells. Increases by a d8 each level above first. Okay, so it's a d8 psychic damage, and then it's a wisdom saving throw to have disadvantage on the next attack. All right, and then Daybreak, 1 action, a range of 60 feet. Make a ranged spell attack against a target. On a hit, the target takes 2d6 fire or radiant damage. You get to choose. Nice. And must succeed on a con save or be blinded. And then it goes up by a d6 each level above. I like that. It's a nice, simple little spell. It's radiant or fire damage, so you get to pick. We have, Glacier here, an action, another 1st level spell. At least they're all 1st level, I said that already. Each creature in a 5-foot radius sphere centered on a point within 60 feet must make a dex save or take a d12 cold damage on a failed save or half on a success. If they fail the save, their speed is reduced to 0. I really like that. You use it 1, it uses a d12. 2, it is a movement reduction spell, and it does a minimal radius. It's a 5-foot radius sphere. It's a dex save, commonly saved against, and it goes up by a d12 each level. That's a really great spell. I like that one. That might actually be my favorite that we've seen so far. Cataclysm has some uses. Also makes me think of Miraculous Ladybug. I don't know why, but I guess because the move's called Cataclysm. Daybreak, I like it. It's a ranged spell attack. We do not have enough ranged attack spells. I like that it gives you a choice of damage. And the free blind for 1 turn is always nice. Blaze, I think, is interesting because it's when they enter the space. And then Quake is the last one here, a 90-foot radius action spell. The ground within a 15-foot radius of a point within 90 feet begins to shake. It becomes difficult terrain. When a creature enters the area for the first time on its turn, it must make a dex save or fall prone. As an action, you can move the quick's origin point to another spot within range. So it's basically just, this is a control spell. It's difficult terrain, but also it's a 15-foot radius too, so you can really strategically place that. And that you can, as an action, swap the location is nice. This also makes me think of Avalanche, the, I guess it's not, I was going to say the X-Men, but the Brotherhood of Evil Mutant character. And then at second level or higher, the radius increases by 5 feet. That's interesting. So it starts off at second level, 20-foot radius where you can just keep going and really make it quick. This is really good. I like these spells. They kind of fill a void where I don't feel there's enough elemental type spells in the game, so I like these a lot. Well done. I like the spells a lot. And then we have an NPC here. And then I'm going to skip ahead to the mounted combat piece here. So we have some new mounted combat options, and I'm just going to go through a couple of these and we'll move on. So it says creatures with a mounted trait have several. So this is a couple of things here. They give you some background, and they kind of give you this new trait here, right? Mounted. The creatures with the mounted trait have several adjustments to standard mounted combat rules, including references to the rider, a creature designated by the mount that has ridden the mount within the last 10 days. They work together. The mount uses the rider's proficiency for its own instead of its own proficiency bonus, so a less skilled rider might impair the mount's own ability. That's an interesting concept. The rider's proficiency bonus is applied to the mount's AC, ability checks, attack rolls, saving throws, and DCs to resist effects of the mount's actions as listed in its stat block. In combat, the trained mount shares the rider's turn. The mount can move and take the dash, disengage, or dodge action on their own turn, rather, or wait for a command from the rider, similar to we have for beast companion style stuff now. While mounted, the rider can also use a bonus action to command the mount to take one of the actions in the mount's stat block, similar again to like we were just talking about. The rider and the mount work in tandem and can take their respective actions in any order during their turn, or during the turn rather. For example, the undead rider 10 starts her turn by instructing her mount Nash the Nightmare to move to her next foe. 10 then uses her bonus action to have Nash attack the adversary with his flaming stomp, which then uses the Nightmare's action. Afterwards, 10 uses her action to attack the enemy with her Rotten Whip. Vaulting attack. A rider can also use their bonus action to dismount. I love this. Spectacularly by performing a vaulting attack. The rider must make an athletics or acrobatics check. The DC is 10 plus the mount's challenge rating. On a success, the next attack the rider makes before the end of their next turn has advantage. Otherwise, the rider falls prone into an unoccupied space adjacent to the mount, and their speed becomes 0, right? So you're trying to do like a cool flip off the thing attack, and if you mess up, you fall flat on your face, and you suffer for that. If not, it looks really awesome. So I like this little sidebar too, right? The GM decides how trained a mount without a rider acts. As a guideline, a trained mount takes the dodge action if it receives no command. However, if the rider is incapacitated or absent, the mount acts under its own control or control of the GM. Without a rider to command them in combat, most mounts focus on running away or defending themselves, right? Things could be broken or different here if it's, say, a fine steed from a paladin or fine greater steed, something with maybe like a unicorn or something with improved intelligence. They might know how to deal with that. And then we have a variety of different mounts. And I'm going to skip the basilisk mount and go to the giant toad because I like it. So, and we can see a couple of things here, right? So we can see similar to what we saw for like the Iron Defenders and those kind of things. See, plus proficiency bonus, plus PB, plus PB, plus PB, and has the mounted feat we were just talking about. During a long rest, the toad can designate one creature that rode it within the last 10 days as its rider. The toad gains temporary hit points equal to 3 times the rider's level or challenge rating after completing the long rest. The toad uses its rider's proficiency bonus in place of its own for AC, ability checks, attack rolls, saving throws, and the DC for certain effects. It's amphibious, it has standing leap, and then we can see it's got some stuff here. Bite. It does a bite attack, tongue lash. You can see that the escape from the tongue lash is based off your proficiency bonus, the rider. And then we have power hop here. Leaps 40 feet into the air. It can release any creature it grapples at the peak of the jump, causing them to immediately plummet before the toad, if the creature does not have a means of staying aloft. This is something everybody always wants to do with their mounts, so I'm glad they included this. The toad and its rider land safely anywhere within 40 feet, which is also the other part of people always want to jump up, then drop someone, and then they have to worry about the fall down. That's answered here as well. Any creature that occupies the space where the toad lands must make a save. Again, dropping onto someone, something other people always want to do as well. Well handled. And I'm not going to go through them, but we also have a hippogriff, which people like. Here's that sweet nightmare mount with this cool undead, almost cowboy chick. And then we have an owlbear and a warhorse. And then we have actually a bit on how to tame them. And there's even an adventure tied to it, or at least an encounter here, Rally at Rashkar, which is kind of an adventure tied to mounts and stuff. But it says most mounts sold by breeders and merchants are trained and ready to ride, but making friends with a mount and training it yourself can be a big part of the fun. Agreed, 100%. Wild creatures must first be tamed by an aspiring rider to become a trained mount. In order to tame a mount, a rider must succeed on an animal handling check with a DC equal to 13 plus the creature's challenge rating. The taming mounts table below features a scale of consequences based on the result of the wisdom animal handling check. At the GM's discretion, a rider who feeds and cares for the animal can have advantage. And we can see distance from DC -5 or lower. The mount is hostile toward you. The DC on the next check increases by 2. If you got a -4 to -1, this is around. So if the DC was 13, if you got an 8 or below, that would be 5 or lower, right? Makes sense. -4 to -1. The mount attempts to fling the rider off its back. You must make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. 0, it is temporarily trained for 8 hours. +1 to +4, the mount is temporarily trained for 24 hours. Or 5+, the mount is permanently trained and loyal towards the rider, right? So very cool. And then again, we could just kind of skip ahead because, like I said, the next bit is that adventure, Rally at Rashkar, and then after that is the 2 celestial villains. So this is a super strong showing by MCDM out the gate for Arcadia issue 1. I'm hooked. I'm in. This is what I've wanted. I've wanted something like this, a magazine. The only thing that would make, I mean, maybe if you're a patron, I don't know, you might actually get a printed copy because I don't want to dive too much into the nostalgia train here, but I miss things like Nintendo Power and stuff like that, where I used to get that monthly magazine. It was like all super cool. I'd go read it and I love that. Same thing with like the dungeon magazines and things like that. Really cool concept. Don't really have anything like that now, and the nature of us being a digital world is probably going to mean that's going to go away. But hey, I'm gonna turn this down and I'll take what I can get. But like I said, I can't wait to see what comes out with this going forward. I gotta say, folks, if you're looking for fresh, highly, well-designed, well-edited content by a series of creators that really know what they're doing, and at least as you can tell from this, are exceptionally passionate, I'd go give it a look, right? I mean, worst case scenario, you pick up one issue, you read through the rest of the stuff that I didn't cover here, and you don't like it, and then, you move on. But if you do, now you got something to look forward to every month. Thank you again to the MCDM team for shooting this over to me for really just for the hell of it. And then I'm glad I got to do a review on it. I do like it. I can't wait to see what comes in the future. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you interested in this content? Do you want to see more of this? What would you like to see? If you were super hyped about it and it didn't meet your expectations, that I would really like to know as well. What could they have done to, improve your opinion on it? So thank you all so much again for watching. Thank you to my patrons over on Patreon for continuing to support me and the channel, and I will see you all